don't want to say it. Y'all don't want to say it, but I'll say it because whatever. I'm white, right? But guess what? I don't owe you anything.
You owe your entire personality to the stereotype of a black woman. The f is that?
Oh, so fabulous.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel once again. It's your girl Dumebi. If this is your first time coming across my channel, you're welcome. I do hope you decide to subscribe. And if you are a returning subscriber, you guys know that I love you. It's so good to have you here. Welcome back. So first of all, my disclaimer, this video is strictly for educational purposes. Please do not go searching out the people that I talk about in this video. Don't send them any form of hate comment, threats, or violence. This channel does not support any of that. So today's video is something very interesting. A white man who I believe is a member of the LGBTQ community had something to say to black people. I'm just going to go right ahead and play his video.
It's always pay your debts until the topic of reparations comes up. Have we reached such a privileged point in our society that we have to look into history in order to find things to fix rather than fixing problems that are right in front of us? The reason nobody talks about the debts of reparations is because the people who owe the debts are not alive. Now, y'all don't want to say it. Y'all don't want to say it, but I'll say it because whatever. I'm white, right? But guess what? I don't owe you anything. I never owned anyone. I don't owe you anything. And nobody will say it, but I don't. Nobody is responsible for the crimes of their ancestors. If that's the case, then every single one of us would owe every single one of us something, because throughout history, every single person, regardless of skin color, has been owned. So what point of history are we going to be focusing on? The last 100 years, or the last 200, or 300, or 400? Or maybe we can focus on the future and focus on creating a future where skin color doesn't matter. And I already know I'm going to get called the R word that ends in cis. Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about, because I'm the one that's going to say I don't owe reparations. But the truth is, the people who think you still need reparations today are the people you should be looking at. They actually think you can't succeed based off of your own merit and that you need help from everybody else in order to succeed in this country. And isn't it ironic that the people who are saying this are the ones who are the most successful in our country? The ones who are saying that you need reparations to succeed when they didn't need them? Shouldn't they be a prime example that success is possible? No. It's because they don't believe that you're as capable as they are. If we want skin color to not have any merit on how much you can contribute to society, then we have to stop putting so much emphasis on it.
So you guys have seen that video with all the... Like, what is that? That is the first thing that caught me. And the moment he started doing that, I kind of zoned out. But because I wasn't just watching that video for pleasure, I'm actually doing work. I had to put myself back in the video and understand what he was trying to say, because I was very disgusted when I saw all of this by a white man. Anyway, so he had a lot to say, giving his opinions about reparations. This is another typical example of when black people are just minding their own business and then someone has something to say, giving your unsolicited opinion about reparations as if the question was directed to you, as if black people demanding reparations was a direct request from you. You know what? I'm just going to go right ahead and play the stitches because you guys know that he's going to get a read. Can you guys anticipate it already? You guys know that they're going to tear him up in the stitches. I'm just going to go right ahead and play the responses.
I never owned anyone.
The last time I checked, has any black person come to your house, Mr. Clarkson, and asked you for money? Has any black person asked you for a check? Has anybody come to you and said you got to sign a check for black people? Because the last time I checked, reparations is from the United States federal government. But, you know, let's spread the misinformation. Let's talk out of our ass. Let's post it on TikTok for other people to see that misinformation. Let's just do that. First of all, reparations is not about cutting a check. It's not only getting what was promised, 40 acres and a mule, but also payment for all of the shit that our ancestors endured in this country. Y'all love to talk about slavery being the reason why people want reparations, but did y'all forget Jim Crow existed? Did y'all forget that they burnt down cities and towns of black businesses that could be billion-dollar businesses today? We as black people pay taxes in this motherfucking country, and there are still places in this country that we can't even step foot in at a certain time because of people that don't like us. Or what about Japanese people? The Civil Liberties Act of 1988 gave surviving Japanese Americans reparations and a formal apology by President Reagan for their incarceration during World War II. But why you ain't make no video about that? Where that video at on your page? Do those Japanese people need that money? Would they have been fine without that money? Yes. Do they need that money? Probably not. But does that mean that something happened to them and they needed to be compensated for what happened? Yes. And no amount of money in this entire world will be able to right the wrongs of slavery in those 400 years and any of that. No money at all. So there is no monetary value that we can even put on the death and suffering of Black and brown people. But America is one of the only places where everybody likes to rewrite history every single year, act like things don't exist. Germany has been paying Holocaust survivors for 70 years to the tune of $1.4 billion. Do Jewish people need that? Probably not. Would they be perfectly fine without it? Probably. Are they perfectly fine without it? Probably. But Germany is compensating these people for something wrong that they did. And then at the end of your video, you had the audacity to talk about we need to stop putting emphasis on skin color. Well, whoop the fuck you. We would love for that to not be the case. But guess what? People that look like this don't want that to happen. Our skin color is still a big deal to some people in this country, and they are doing everything that they can to make sure that we suffer. What you need to do is take your ass to Starbucks and mind your damn business.
Always pay your debts until the topic of reparations comes up.
You know, it will never cease to amaze me how a white man will get on the internet and tell Black people what they don't deserve, all while cosplaying the stereotype of a Black woman. See, Clarkson, your entire personality you owe to a Black woman. The neck popping, the finger pointing, all of it, boo, you stole from a Black woman. So while you and the racist ass maggots in your comment section that agree with you seem to believe that you don't owe us anything because the people that committed slavery are dead, how about you start with giving us back our personality? We'll take everything else later.
Nobody is responsible for that.
Imagine sitting there using a bunch of gestures and mannerisms that Black people have made popular throughout our history in the United States. So trying to align yourself with Black culture and the things that you're doing, whilst also trying to dissociate yourself from the things that your ancestors have done to Black people. That's fucking crazy. But you know what? Let's talk about the concept of not being responsible for your parents, grandparents, or ancestors' actions. Because that concept only comes up when we talk about paying reparations to Black people. Nobody ever says, oh, well, the baby boomers wasn't responsible for World War II, so why were they responsible for their tax dollars having to go towards rebuilding Europe via the Marshall Plan? Nobody ever says that the generation of post-World War II babies was responsible for the internment of Japanese Americans, so why are their tax dollars going to paying the reparations of Japanese Americans? Huh? Why do you only bring this up when you talk about Black people? Let's talk about it. Like, bro, even former fucking slave owners got reparations. One thing that I also want to introduce in this conversation is how white Americans love to use collective terms of ownership when they're talking about something positive that's happening in United States history. Like, oh, we won our independence from Britain. We defeated the Soviets in the space race. We defeated the Nazis in World War II and the Japanese in World War II. But anytime there's something bad, now you want to dissociate. That wasn't we, that was somebody else. Oh, that wasn't we that enslaved Black people. Those were other people. See how that works? Kind of crazy, ain't it, huh?
I never owned anyone.
Are you morally responsible for that? No, you have never owned slaves, right? But are you morally responsible to try and correct the lingering effects of slavery, the lingering economic impacts of redlining or Jim Crow? You know, there are classes of assets that Black people generationally have not had access to. This includes land, large amounts of capital, business ownership, the means of production, right? They haven't had access to these things by design generationally. And like, what is it? Currently, we see the effects that there's very little land ownership by Black people. We see that generally Black communities are like, have 1/10 the net worth and household income that white people do in this country. So that we see that they have been systematically disempowered. So you're not morally responsible for slavery, okay? But you are morally responsible to correct the effects the lingering effects, the lingering inequality that was caused by the sins of the past. You're not responsible for the sins, but you are responsible to help correct those things because you are benefiting from generational wealth that black communities are not benefiting from. Plain and simple. I mean, it's very simple.
Then we have to stop putting so much emphasis on it.
Clarkson Lawson, is this you? Of course it is. Now, the first thing is that you should pay reparations to black women for stealing their mannerisms, but I digress. Also, I really get tired of you translucent, sour cream hued escapees from the Caucasus Mountain glowworm troglodytes hopping on Beyonce's internet like you're onto something when it comes to issues that affect the black community. And I can tell you're not the one with the reading comprehension gene and that family wreath of a tree of yours. I mean the wreath not at Christmas time, but the one you take to funerals. But this is what reparations are. There are 5 steps to reparations, and because you don't even bother to look up definitions of words, you only think you know about compensation and the others, like making sure that the action that led to this condition never happen again, or to restore the injured party to the status they were prior to the actions that was taken. And then, like say, compensation, then satisfaction of knowing that those things will not happen, and also addressing the generational trauma that was caused by them, and of course rehabilitation. But that will require you having an education, which you obviously don't. So let's take your video point by point, and I will eviscerate it at its base.
Have we reached such a privileged point in our society that we have to look into history in order to find things to fix rather than fixing problems that are right in front of us?
Bullshit fallacy number 1. How do we fix a problem today when we don't know where the roots of that problem even lie in history, or what has not worked to fix that problem? You know, sort of like why we have Pride Month, to commemorate an act that started on a path to get somewhere that we needed to be as a society that we still haven't got to. So we're just supposed to throw that history away and just say we'll figure it out as we go. Yeah, you sound stupid. And your mom dresses you funny, but that's a whole nother conversation. Let's move on.
The reason nobody talks about the debts of reparations is because the people who owe the debts are not alive.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. When you don't even take the opportunity to read or do any research on your own, and you know that reparations, those 5 points I put up earlier, are not just covering the 246 years of chattel slavery in this country, but the 100 years of Jim Crow afterwards, and the civil rights movement that has been going on up until today. But let's digress from that point for a moment. And you think that you all got to this $124.5 trillion in assets in this country compared to the $8 trillion in assets of this country held by black people because your ancestors worked so hard for it, right? Yeah, since you don't believe that there's no one alive today that was enslaved or in some way or shape or form suffers from that slavery, then you must be also down with the fact that the people that are enjoying the benefit of their ancestors having to enslave a whole group of people in this country for 246 years, that all that wealth should also be redistributed to the people who actually did the work, right? Yeah, I bet.
If we want skin color to not have any merit on how much you can contribute to society, then we have to stop putting so much emphasis on it.
Did you really fix your lips to say that if we want skin color to not have any merit on what we can contribute to your society, a society that has exploited the skin color of black and brown people to build itself? And now you want to think the conversation is about us not wanting our skin color to interfere with what we can commit to your society? No, this conversation is about what your society can do for the black and brown people that is exploited historically in order for you to have that over $125 trillion in assets. Yeah, back to what I was saying. You're stupid and your mother dresses you funny. And I meant everything I said with the utmost disrespect. Now you have the day you deserve.
I don't owe you anything.
Y'all don't say that. Y'all don't say that. You are an incredibly unserious human being. I've seen so many videos of you. There is definitely a demographic of people that you really don't like. You choose to steal the mannerisms of. Like, you can't tell me that your mom, your sister, your cousins, your community acts like that. I don't even act like that. You are being a culture vulture right now, while having a black woman's tweet behind you, while talking to the black community. You're going to behave that way. How is this not embarrassing when it's oh God, it's I get secondhand embarrassment watching that. That was embarrassing for me, personally. Reparations are not coming straight out of your pocket. Not every single black household in America would get reparations because, like me, I'm not even a first-generation American. I'm naturalized. So obviously, I'm not going to get any money. But my tax dollars would be going to those families that deserve it. I don't see what is wrong with that. My tax dollars go to schools. I don't have kids. Having everyone at some sort of equal playing point and like getting what they actually deserve. People got, land and did not. On top of it, they had communities burned down when they actually started to develop their own infrastructures. So I think reparations makes a lot of sense. You're making it sound like someone's going to be knocking on your door asking for $20. No, this is government. Lots of communities have received reparations, and it's only when it's an issue, like she said. So stop being like, what are we going to start 300 years ago, 400 years ago? No, we're talking about here in America. 160 years ago, there are generations that had their parents were slaves. You act like it was such a long time ago, and it really wasn't. It really wasn't. And you can tell every day because there are people like you still acting a whole mess.
I don't owe you anything.
Let me tell you something, homeboy. The people that you are placating for, the hetero white male group of this society, the people that you just kind of blend in with, they don't mean you no good. You are a gay white male in this country. And I'll let you in on a little fact. More black people vote for your right to be a gay white male in this country than the white men you're trying to protect right now. Just remember that.
I'm white, right?
In terms of historical precedent, reparations aren't just giving money to a marginalized community. No, in terms of American history, the groups that have been given reparations are those like the Japanese during World War II, who we wrongly imprisoned because of our fear of Japan because of what they did to Pearl Harbor, or the Native Americans for basically committing genocide on their entire people because we wanted to own their land. These reparations were given out by the US government as a formal acknowledgement that those past deeds were not good and they were terrible. Problem is, we had never done that for the black community. The issue arises in the fact that the US government as an entity itself has never formally acknowledged slavery as a bad thing. And that's the problem.
Now, everything those people said, everything they said, especially this man, You guys know whenever you see that man, you know that it's going to be a whole experience. I love the way he breaks down every single thing in a video that somebody just comes to say about the black community. I always learn from his teachings. Now, I personally went and did my own research because I see that a lot of people, whenever they talk about reparations, they talk about money. Like as if the black community is very poor and they are begging white people to give them money. But if there's one thing that I know, it is that it is not white people they are asking for money. It is the US government that they are asking for money. And that money will be paid from taxpayers' dollars. That it is not only white people that pay taxes. Like, how hard is it to comprehend? It is not only white people, that even black people are paying taxes. So part of the money they're going to get paid as reparations is also coming from their money as well. And then you're talking about how all the people that passed through slavery are dead. That's why no one is talking about it. Now, they're asking for reparations, not just for slavery. Just in case you don't know, young man, like, let's educate you. It is not just for slavery. It is also included the things that black people passed through after the abolishment of slavery. All the burning down of black towns and civilizations and businesses, the Jim Crow laws, the redlining, all of that. The general mistreatment of black people is what they're asking for reparations for. And there are people still alive that passed through all of that. Now, it is crazy to me how other communities have received reparations for wrongdoings done to them and their ancestors. But when it comes to black people, it's a joke. Of course, you don't understand that struggle. Of course, you don't get it because you're not in this skin. And then it's so painful because when people like this are saying things, you have people like this brother. I'm not even going to call him a brother because all kinfolk ain't kinfolk. You have people like this man coming out to make this video.
I'm white, right? But guess what? I don't owe you anything. I never owned anyone. I don't owe you anything.
Bingo. Let me remind you that we live in America. We literally have opportunities here that people are dying for. Does that mean that we shouldn't focus on bettering the system? No, that's not what I'm saying, so don't even try to go there. But if you're a black American and you're living in America and you're focused on getting black people reparations, you've missed it. The boat is gone and you've missed it. All the opportunities there. We do not need reparation. Well, we're owed it, the 50 acres and a mule. What you're talking about is Field Order 15 by General Sherman during the Civil War. And that was in like the southeast part of the country. A bunch of people want to talk about this as if, for one, the government actually did it, meaning Congress. No, it was a wartime order. Second off, it wasn't for all black people. The government does not owe us, and white people do not owe us. The government does not owe us. White people do not owe us. The vast majority of white people were not even slaveholders. You have every opportunity here to go build the life you want to build. Stop letting people tell you you don't have the opportunity. You do. And stop wanting people that never had anything to do with something to pay you for something they never did.
At this point, I already know that whenever he shows up, he's going to say something very anti-black. I don't even know what he does it for, and I hope he gets paid for things like that, because if you're doing it for free, it's a shame. You should monetize that anti-blackness. You should monetize that embarrassment that you're doing. I hope it's lining your pockets, and I hope it's lining it real good, because you're on this app applauding white people and creating a platform and a safe place for white people to come and talk down on black people. And in quotes, you tell yourself you're doing it for the betterment of black people because you want to call them out on their bullshit and challenge black people to do better. But you don't call out white people that do things against black people. How does it make sense? And then you guys, I went deep and I did some research about reparations, because people always think it's about money, money, money. But it's way beyond that. Now, you guys, this is where I wrote it. It's an envelope. I'm going to read it. Reparations has 5 angles, 5 arms: restitution, compensation, rehabilitation, satisfaction, and guarantees of non-repetition. Then I went deep and I Googled what are the different types of reparations, specifically reparations for African Americans. That was what I Googled. And it said, number 1, money. Number 2, restitution of civil and political rights. Number 3, physical rehabilitation, which is granting access to land, housing, healthcare, or education. The next one is revealing the truth about the violations themselves and providing guarantees that they will not be repeated. And the last one is apologies in form of memorials, commemorations, and stuff like that. Do you guys see that everything on this list, somehow black people had to fight for them? It was not willingly given to them by the US government. They had to fight for civil and political rights. They were talking about revealing the truth about the violations that was done to these people that are receiving reparations. Last time I checked, they are still trying to whitewash history. They are still trying to say black people benefited from slavery. So they are definitely not ready to reveal the truth of the atrocities that was committed. It is just unfortunate that they are still fighting for reparations and other people got reparations. And the fact that it is a member of the LGBTQ community that is saying this, I'm not surprised actually, because we know that white privilege, definitely he's enjoying that. So I've seen a lot of times them trying to compare their struggle as LGBTQ to that of black people. But at the end of the day, that white privilege, he still can come and talk trash about the black community while doing this. That is the part that even pissed me off. I was very disgusted by that. You have no personality, young man, and you're obviously dumb. Because if you were not dumb, you will know that nobody was asking you for reparations, and you will know that reparations doesn't just come in form of money. How much do you even have in your bank account for you to even flatter yourself and think that they were asking you for reparations? Nobody's coming after your money. You guys, please just let me know what you think about this whole video in the comment section. I'm trying not to get worked up. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.